Good evening and welcome inside the KW Granite Club. We are streaming live the Stu Sells Oakville Tankard. My name is Jerry Gertz of Curling Zone, joined by Chelsea Carey and Colin Hodgson this afternoon to cover this feature game here. World number one ranked Brad Jacobs taking on Rob Ainsley of Toronto. Certainly a David versus Goliath battle we have here today. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. This should be interesting.
It's always interesting when you're around, Hodge.
So getting into it here in the first end.
EJ is in the game now.
Just getting an extra warm-up slide there. This is the first weekend that the Jacobs team has been on the ice.
Which they haven't stopped. I've seen that outturn a few times. Pretty good one.
Both teams playing a little bit of a conservative opening here. Just getting a feel for the ice.
Did see Team Jacobs without the Hammers throw the center guard, but it doesn't look like they're going to take a huge amount of risk, which is smart in the first end. So hoping for a rollout or a way to bring that center guard into play, but right now looking like a blank early.
And we get the rollout. Brad calling for the draw around the center. The off center.
Never want to see that. Sweeper's right off it early. Looks like it's probably all there for weight.
Trying to take that one back just enough so there's at least room for two if they happen to play the freeze. Pretty unlikely, but it's important to know that you can move your rock back there. As front-end sweepers, you need to really know where it's going. You never want to leave one rock behind the button or 12 inches. It's probably the worst spot you could leave one.
Exactly what I was going to say. You never want to be back button, so if it's going there, then you need to sweep it. But it's a bit tough one for the sweepers to manage, because if it's going to stop top button, then you don't want to touch it. So it's always a battle. So good heads up there, good call by the sweepers to take that one a little further back.
Is that ever a crafty outturn? If you can throw that outturn, you can make any shot on this ice. My goodness. I wish I possessed that capability. That's a carve. I know I'll be practicing that at Red Lake as much as possible over the next 3 or 4 months.
I curled 4 feet more than your outturn does, Hodge.
Mark playing the outturn hit for a southpaw. Trying to get shot rock. Ends up rolling out. What is Ainsley going to do? They're going to peel the guard, go to the second with hammer, or they're going to play the come around Chelsea? What do you think?
Yeah, that's the question. I think I personally would be taking a free shot at this come around. Anywhere in front of the tee line's pretty good. Even if you only bury a piece, you're still bringing the blank into play. But it's the first game of the season or first spiel of the season probably for both these teams, and who knows how long they've been on the ice and how comfortable they're feeling with that. So I think that's maybe going to factor in here potentially.
I think also they'd have to probably take the wide path on the in-turn, because that out-turn down the middle is also not going to be played a ton. It's not going to be great in the first end, especially when you don't sweep rocks down the middle. I think it'd be hard to judge the weight.
Yeah, you're coming across the center line, which would be new in theory because of the way the draw of the button's done. So they wouldn't have touched that path. You're right.
On that wide in-turn.
Yeah, wide in-turn draw coming here.
Got the nervous clean going on. Is it perfect or is it heavy?
I think it's all there. The line's really close, though. It looks like it's dying on them now.
Moving it quick. Getting around the good shot. Give a shout out to my friend John, who said the lingo we're using is good for his sipping habits today. A few friends from south of the border, actually a lot of friends from south of the border, tuning into this broadcast. So thank you guys for checking out the broadcast and playing along some fun side games. We're all aware of what our special keywords of the day are.
This is revenge for all of them beating up on me in fantasy baseball.
Key bingo words of the day at home are house, stone, shot, sweep, line, hit, literally, and A.
What was the last one there, Haji? A?
A or hey, depending what part of
Okay,
Canada
as in like our Canadianism here. Okay. Just a little introduction to the curling fans out there for our two teams that are on the ice here. Darren Karn throws lead stones for Team Ainsley, based out of Toronto. Graham Robson at second, Dave Ellis at third, and of course Rob Ainsley is skip and throwing 4 stones. Team Jacobs is made up of brothers Ryan Harnden and EJ Harnden on the front end, Mark Kennedy at third, and Brad Jacobs is the skip here. The world's #1 ranked team currently, and winners of 3 Grand Slams last year. We covered Jacobs last evening, and they sure look like they were already in mid-season form.
Brad taking on the out-turn double, real thin. Gonna have to watch that red at the back, because it is possible to hit this just a little too thick and have that second yellow go straight back parallel with the center line and run into that red at the back. So trying to play it really thin. Just slice it out of there. Get out of here with blank.
For Team Ainsley, would have liked a little bit more separation. You don't want to leave Brad Jacobs these.
Easy on the inside, scary sometimes. He does some rank curling sweeps to keep the rock straight, not only, but get that extra carve. In my mind, one of the very best in the planet for line. It's a shame we didn't have our Briar game against them, because that was one of the best played curling games, and it was like 2-1 after 8 ends, something like that. And just the sweeps and communication that their team put down, and we were playing a pretty top level of curling at the time. And just when they get in the zone and when ice conditions are correct and favorable for sweeping. That team can do some pretty heavy damage on the brushes.
I'd like to throw a shout out to Trent Ward on watching the stream. We are getting in the way of weekend chores, so you're welcome, Trent. Organizer of the Canad Inns in the past. I know he's moved on from Portage la Prairie now and working at a new hotel in Winnipeg, but for so many years, the work he put into growing and building Portage, Trent is an amazing person that's given a ton of support to the sport, and we're certainly going to miss him around Portage, that's for sure.
Trent's the best. Hands down, it's incredible how much time and effort he puts into curling. It's a thankless job. He doesn't get enough. He doesn't get enough praise, absolutely. But we're lucky to have him, and even though he's not out in Portage anymore, he's certainly going to be very involved with curling. So looking forward to many more times with Trent down the road.
Yeah, anyone who's ever been to one of the events in Portage, which are some of the best events on tour, has interacted with Trent in some way. He's so attentive to the curlers and to everybody's needs, and he's just a fantastic resource for us all and has made our lives while we're in Portage far more enjoyable.
Well, especially after last year when we got the snowstorm of the century, everybody was stuck inside. For a couple of days, no power, couldn't drive out, and they fed us. They made sure there was libations available, which is very key in the hallways. We had a lot of good moments with a lot of curlers from all over the world. When you're having a beer with Kosuke Morozumi from Japan and Kevin Cooey, Willie Lyburn, there's a lot of good times to be had there. Trent and his whole crew made it happen. So it could have been a pretty awful situation, but now I have a fond memory. I'm sure a lot of other curlers do. A little bit of a hangover.
Also was great to us for the mixed doubles trials, which were held at the arena in Portage, but we all stayed at the Canada Inns Hotel. So Colin and I were lucky enough to be part of that, and they did a great job with an insane number of people, mixed doubles teams, with all the same draw times and stuff, staying at the hotel. The management of it was done extremely well, and I've never been to an event there that isn't world class. I try to go back as much as I can, and Trent's a big part of that.
Starting to get lots of comments on YouTube, I see. Dave Gallant. It is great to see some curling again. And definitely Fear the Moose, the PACC member. Got Michael Knocknagel. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce your last name, but I don't think he misses anything curling ever. When we're doing the broom stacking, always showed up online, ready to go. I'm not sure if he has a job. Do you have a job? Post in the comments section.
Colin getting to know the fans.
Pretty sure he has a good job. How do you spend so much time watching curling? It's incredible.
Yeah, you know what? I absolutely love the American curling crew. I go down and try and play some spiels in the summer. You and I, Haji, have played. Chelsea, I know we've crossed paths at spiels, but I don't think we've put a team together anywhere yet. But
didn't we play together in one of the early Sick Kids?
Yeah, in Canada. I'm talking about down.
In the U.S. Yeah, no, we haven't put a team together in the U.S. No, I've only was able to go to Hollywood one time in this, as far as the summer spiels go. House of Hearts every year, so you come down there for that one. But
I believe your reaction to the Hollywood Ice that year was memorable enough that there are stories still being told.
I told them they love curling more than I do, because what it was that we were doing isn't really curling to me.
Yeah, certainly. I know since that year, I think it was the next year that I came, the ice was a struggle that first year, Haji, when you and I had our team together. But since then, they've really done a lot of work on the facility there, and it's gone a long way to improving the game, and now they're building a dedicated facility in Los Angeles.
Which is awesome. That was the whole goal of that spiel, was to get them some dedicated ice, so that's great news. And it was a blast. I mean, the ice was the ice, but I do have a very vivid memory of throwing a draw for one. Colin was on my team, so he may or may not remember this. It was a draw for one that should have been an in-turn with the ice on the edge of the 12-foot, but with the slant of the sheet, if I threw the in-turn, it would have overcurled by feet. Like it would have ended up in the 8-foot on the other side. So I threw the out-turn at the boards. It almost hit the boards, and then it fell back the whole way, like literally backwards. And Haji just basically dusted it into the tee line for R1. But it was the hardest thing I ever had to do to convince myself that it needed to be an out-turn when the broom was basically on the boards.
Yeah, it was quite an experience. We've got Cameron Kim saying, don't forget that great Bonspiel win in the OC. Jerry,
Yeah.
What did we do in the OC, and why was it such an accomplishment?
We played mogul curling.
We played mogul curling in Orange County, California, with our good friend Cameron Kim,
Yep.
who's now a professor at Duke. He taught himself curling on YouTube when he was in Florida, ended up going to Stanford, in San Jose in California, and he throws just like BJ Neufeld, and he taught himself on YouTube. And so for the Canadians watching, that's what the Americans are doing right now, and it's pretty silly how much more that the sport at a recreational level is people who come from all sorts of backgrounds are really just looking to join it. So I think that's something we need to really focus on in Canada, is focus on that recreational side. And
of course, that Orange County team rounded out by Zach Wise out of Montreal, who came down and joined us as well.
Absolutely. All right, so story time is over for me. What do we got going on this end? I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, I'm working on trying to get a draw updated for the Mayflower Under 18 Harvest Spiel, Nova Scotia. Lots of events going on this weekend. I think there's 15 events or something on Curling Zone with live scores going on. Craziness.
Incredible.
We're back.
We are back. Not the big stuff, but the grassroots is really keeping the sport together right now.
I know my nieces have been curling in Leduc in Alberta for weeks.
Yeah, and I believe they're playing this weekend in... Where's that spiel?
Okotoks?
Okotoks, yes.
I think it's Okotoks.
DeSormo, right? Or DeSorno?
Yeah, you saw a U18 spiel going on there.
Fun times, my niece, Morgan, the skipper, she was tipping her own team, and this year she's now playing with my old skip and someone you'd all be familiar with his daughter, Mr. David Nedwin. His daughter is looking like she could be probably even better than David, I think. And now luckily my niece has been asked to play on their team this year. So it's kind of a throwback when, David and Heather are the coach now, and the daughter's looking like she's going to be playing on tour by next year.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to see what the Alberta Junior Tour has started to put out there. It takes kind of a generation of junior players in order to start seeing results in men's and women's play. But, we're really starting to see some of these young teams start to pop up in Alberta now. Glenn Kennedy had a thread on Facebook talking about this earlier this summer, where Alberta kind of has a lost generation of curlers outside of that group where Glenn and Jamie King and Blake McDonald and that group was really strong in the game, and now to the young players like Jeremy Hardy's. There's a gap in there where we just didn't have that many players competing in Alberta.
I think the challenge in Alberta, especially on the men's, on both sides, but you had a period of time there where you had Kevin Cooey, Kevin Martin, Randy Furby. It just was so hard to get out of the province that I think it was a bit demoralizing sometimes. And We've seen that cycle in a few different provinces. Manitoba probably had a bit of a gap on the women's side when there was you're trying to play Jennifer Jones all the time. And then there was a couple other top teams for a few years there where I remember at one point there was 3 of us in the top 5 in the world, all in Manitoba. So it gets tough for young teams to feel like they have a chance to win. But if you can kind of get them to stick through it, like playing against those teams all the time also makes you a better player. Holy smokes.
And we just had a garage sale out there on the ice.
I'm going to interrupt you there, Chelsea. And
I was about to interrupt myself.
Rob Ainsley comes flying through the house.
Holy smokes.
That was a dance. I think he managed to avoid the rocks.
It was a pretty athletic move, I think, to avoid most of the rocks.
Well, we just nudged the corner guard on replay there, ever so slightly, but everything in the house is fine. What a shot. Or, that's what a sweep.
What a move.
And that was right after that incredible shot by EJ. That little back line, or just through weight, come around the guard, carve it around, get the inside roll, and force them into playing that tough angle raise. Now Jacob's drawing to sit 3. Stephanie Seneker loved that.
I am going to have to go back and get that for a replay. So
that was insane.
That was right around the...
Little light there for Mark. Would have liked that somewhere in the top of the house. You don't want to be deep, but don't imagine he was looking to throw another center guard. Don't know that it hurts them that much either, but a chance for Ainsley to get shot here now.
Judging by the way they reacted to sweepers, though, that rock did something.
Yeah,
it could be a very slow one. It could be a cutter, or it could have just grabbed something early. But that's not characteristic. They would not have swept it that way if they thought it was that light out of the hand, obviously.
No, yeah, they weren't worried about it early, so it looked like something happened to it for sure.
But it's over curling. Just plan beat it to try to make the roll, left it a touch long.
Shot stolen for Ainsley, but wide open. So looking for a little hit and roll under here if you're Brad Jacobs. Put some pressure on.
Switching over to play the carve. You'll note that EJ switched over. Or I note that when we play against them sometimes. You watch him sweep, you can see that steep angle, how he keeps it high. He keeps his top hand high. And the broom angle is not flat or 45 degrees. It's higher than that. And what a lot of curlers are trying to do is get that steep angle that really digs into the ice and digs a trench. And we do have some disagreement, absolutely. There will be people on the broadcast who don't believe in that, but I go with what my eyes say, with what my eyes see, and I see him doing some pretty awesome stuff.
Just getting much more upright is what it's all about, right?
I believe so. But there's different ways to sweep for different outcomes. If you want the rock to go further, I don't believe that's the best way for you to sweep. You can generate some different results based on the angles you're sweeping at, whether it's the angles on the ice in which you're sweeping the rock. Is it 45 degrees? Is it 90 degrees? Is it making it curl? Is it starting in the middle, going to the inside, or going away? There's a lot of little things you have to watch as you sweep what you're doing to be effective. And at the end of the day, nobody wants to be working really hard to not accomplish anything. So you can be a smart sweeper and not the most large, quick one out there, but you can certainly help your rock come to better spots. Playing the out turn hit. Looks like about an easy weight. Solid control.
First of the skip stones here in the second end. Ainsley blanked the first end. continues to hold the hammer here.
See, that's a perfect shot because Ainsley can't nose this one. He's got to make a roll, which is a difficult shot. A lot of teams, if they're feeling comfortable with draw weight, might end up lobbing a draw in there instead.
That's one that's a little bit deceiving because when you look at it, you sort of, your immediate instinct is to think that Brad Jacobs would want to roll buried there. But to Colin's point, this makes him make a decision, and the shot, the hit and roll is pretty precise, the draw is pretty precise, and now he's got to make one of those two shots.
Degree of difficulty goes through the roof on this shot compared to a normal nose hit with that same out turn. Simply kicks out with the pro slide designed by my teammate Reed Carruthers. Absolutely
Nice
slides like a gem. He really does. I would switch to it if I didn't want to look like Wayne Middahl when I was curling, but that's what I wanted to be as a kid, so I got to use a broom. He over curls. Not a terrible shot.
Yeah, rolling under that corner guard means Jacobs has to put this in a good spot here, not leave any kind of a double.
Nice thing for Jacobs is the double guard there. If this is a single guard, the shot becomes a lot harder, but he's got a lot more room to hide because of the way those guards are staggered and the length of the two of them. It gives him probably at least a half a rock, 3/4 of a rock more margin for error than he would have if there was just a single guard there. Really only have to get this like a solid half buried, 3/4 buried. You don't need to be totally sunk. I mean, that's what he's probably going to try to do. But if you could leave this showing a piece, it makes Ainsley's draw for one harder as well.
They really just need to get a sliver of this puck so that there won't be a double for two.
Yeah,
Make them play a hard draw for one.
As long as you tuck any of it, it's pretty good.
EJ's on the outside early, trying to get some movement. This shot really depends on weight where they're going to leave this. This is all communication between EJ and Kennedy. There he is. Look at that sweeping angle. Right at the end here, you can see that thing.
You watch it walk sideways. It looked like that. I mean, it might still be close to wide open, but I didn't think it was going to get close to touching the center line early. So great carve by EJ at the end. It's hard to tell from our angle if there is any kind of double, but they did everything they could with that rock for sure with that sweep.
Yeah, it looks like if you can get to the nose here, you're going to need to throw a bit of down weight.
There. That was very good communication between Mark and EJ. EJ looked like he was saying the weight was there. Let's wait a bit to see if it'll grab some frost, kick over, and he's waiting to finish it as much as humanly possible at the end. So he wants that late carve. If you carve late compared to carving early, you'll get a nice sharp angle. Or a little more result at least, in my opinion.
So this is last rock here in the second end. Rob Ainsley with a delicate hit here. Needs to try and make a soft weight double, sort of the Eddie Wernick special.
They're backed all the way off this and now sweeping it to curl. It's not a good sign.
The flash and a steal of two.
Yep.
Ooh, wow. So that will be a steal of two for Team Jacobs. They will go up ahead here early. We'll be right back here at the Stu Sells Oakville Tankard right after these quick messages.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Sean Chang.
My name is Chris.
Hi, I'm Phil Hanna.
And I'm an RBC mortgage specialist.
I can meet you where you work, where you live, or halfway across town. Unia Mortgage Specialist.
You can find us anywhere, from here
to here.
and even way over here.
But what is a
Mortgage specialist.
And what does a mortgage specialist do?
What does a mortgage specialist do?
What does a mortgage specialist do?
Well, to start, we understand our communities. Whether you live in Little Portugal
or run and operate a store in Bloor West Village.
We want to understand you. We take the time to get to know each and every one of our clients.
Because we all have unique circumstances.
And we would love to get to know yours.
So, let's meet at your closest branch.
Or maybe over a cup of coffee.
So we can understand what matters to you.
We're here to support you.
And we never,
ever
leave our clients behind.
Whether you're buying your first home
Or your fifth.
Or even when you're looking to build your dream home.
We bring our deep understanding of the real estate landscape and our communities
Together, under the one team of RBC. Para melhor atender você.
Because our goal is to help you achieve yours.
Our goal is to help you achieve yours.
And we'll work tirelessly to make your dream home a reality.
To make your dream home a reality.
Your goals and dreams deserve an expert. Come and see an RBC mortgage specialist today, where we won't leave a client behind.
Special thank you to Keith Joel of RBC Mortgages for his continued support of the Stu Sells series. He was in that ad there in a couple spots, so pretty cool to see you get a chance to star in your own ad as well. So steal a two there.
Try to avoid. Staying out of Dynasty Curling ad.
We'll see it happen one of these days, Haji. So yeah, Jacobs with a steal of two in the first end. Just a bit of a challenging read on that spot. This ice has been very release and weight sensitive here this weekend. So it definitely rewards good releases and good throws. And when you up your weight a little bit more than you're looking for, sometimes that rock will run straight and make you look a little foolish.
That's one of those situations where the shot probably could have been made with the weight he threw or with the ice he took, but not with both. So it's really tricky when it's that sensitive, which is a good thing. I think it's a good quality for curling ice to have because it rewards, to your point, throwing the right weight and throwing the release the way you want. And and you should be penalized if you don't do those things, but it's a tough one to watch. And we've all been there where you let it go and you watch it sail by and you're thinking, man, I like that. I didn't mind that throw or I didn't mind that weight, but you have to match the two up all the time or else you get in trouble.
Quarantine crew is officially on here. I see Andy Spear commenting on YouTube. Lindsay McKay out in New Brunswick makes absolutely beautiful hand-knit curling sweaters. You were at the Briar this year in Kingston, you definitely saw them. Ryan Hart on the sweep there.
Slight switch you're seeing here because of the rule with the one sweeper. A guy like Ryan Harnden, who typically would wear two grippers to sweep, is wearing a slider so that he can easily switch back and forth. It's bringing a new dimension into sweeping, I would think, too, for that. And a lot of people wear sliders normally anyways, but for people who don't, it does make it a little bit easier to switch, Colin, as I'm sure you can. I mean, for mixed doubles, you just swing back and forth all the time, but it makes it easier to move from one side to the other if you're sweeping on a slider versus if you've got two grippers on.
Well, what you've seen over the last year is teams actually start doing that. If they find that they have a sweeper who's stronger, or just maybe more, or we're battling injuries at times. If you watch Team Cooey at the Briar, the Brandon Briar, I think they switched more than anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Saw Ben and Colton flipping all the time. There's injuries. Injuries happen when guys just don't have it. And it's a good way to do it. And to practice with, if you have access to a pressure broom or, it's something that we found out that surprisingly my numbers went the highest when I was sweeping open with a slider. That's the opposite of what everyone thinks. Sweeping closed with the gripper is what you're supposed to be strongest at. but the numbers went through the roof in one situation. So I think there's a balance between finding what's most effective, and dealing with fatigue is really important. If you're playing 2 or 3 10-end games in one day, or 3 8-end games in one day, that is a lot of, you're burning 5,000 calories easily in a 3-game 8-end day if the ice is keen. So, dealing with fatigue and figuring out what works the best. I find walking down the sheet with 2 grippers is way more tiring than just sliding just on the way back between the rocks. So something to consider, and I know there's more players at the top that are doing that, but it's not really talked about.
Well, and it's interesting too. I know we have this discussion all the time when we play doubles, because, like you're saying, your numbers are better when you sweep open. So then you're the same hand down all the time. But at the end of the day, when we're playing doubles the way we play doubles, where you're sweeping everything, it makes some sense for you to switch hands, even though it's maybe not as effective, just to save that left arm a little bit. So there's all kinds of balancing involved in the decisions that you make, and it's not necessarily always about the best person in the best position. It's about trying to save your sweepers and save your down arm or your strong arm or whatever it is for situations where it's really key. And so then there's all kinds of back and forth. And I mean, I think to your point with Team Cooey, it was interesting to watch. It's the first time that I think you've publicly seen Ben start on the right hand side of the rock. He always starts on the left, and he's always done that. But I had the opportunity to play with Ben at the Everest event that they had a few years back, where it was drafted and mixed and things. And he said to us at that time that he's just as comfortable and his numbers are just as good sweeping open on the right side as they are him sweeping closed on what we call theoretically his good side. So it's the game's changing all the time with sweeping, and it's so interesting, and it's a constant moving target, and I love watching and saying, well, why are they doing that? And then we watch Team Botcher with the backward sweeping with Brad Thiessen, who's maybe one of the best in the game as well, turning around and navigating the footwork backwards with 2 grippers to match Kark's downstroke, because they don't want to undo what they're doing. It's wild, and for me it's a lot of fun to watch, mostly because I don't have to do it or try to figure it out.
Yeah, that's bang on. They're not the only team who does that either. Pattison, they do the backward sweep. Actually, I'm pretty sure all the Scottish teams, I can't remember Moet doing it, but they may have. But there's a lot of teams and big, strong sweepers implementing that.
The logic makes perfect sense. It's crazy to watch. Again, like, it's since the year of the broom. I call it the year of the brooms, 2016, with all the carving and all the rules and regulations involving fabric and things. It just seems like the sweeping part of the game has grown leaps and bounds since then, and the science and the experimentation and, just trying different things and the things you can do with a rock now by knowing how to sweep it, to your point, even not necessarily being the biggest, strongest sweeper, but knowing how to sweep and when to sweep. It's so much more about sweeping smart than it used to be. And it's added a whole new level to the game, even as just I'm just the line caller. But even that for me, when to call to switch, and the kind of communication I have to give my sweepers and the empowerment that they now have to make decisions about line that didn't used to be. It used to be your job is the weight, my job is the line, and that's it. And that's totally changed now.
Yeah, your communication is only halfway where it could be, if that's what you're doing. There's a lot of roles and responsibilities that have to be maintained. Ainsley trying to wriggle out of a really tough situation here. That rock at the fighting top of the button is absolutely killing them.
Yeah, at this point, if you're Ainsley, you're not, I mean, you would have loved coming into this end to score multiple points. Right now, it's bail time. It's just try to give yourself a decent shot for one, because it's not looking like you're going to have much right now. So smash some front rocks around here and try to open up this forefoot for yourself a little bit, because to Colin's point, that red rock is just in an absolutely perfect spot, and it's guarded aggressively on all sides right now.
I like the first call Rob made there. Play that yellow thin into the red, into the other 2 yellows across the face. You just need to move that rock that's fighting top button behind the T line, and then you're going to be able to have a pretty good opportunity to score.
I agree.
This is a crucial shot to make contact on that top, that yellow that's splitting the top 12, top 8. You have to make contact on the shot.
Yeah, you got to make some noise. So like half a rock, you think? A little thinner?
Thin. Yeah,
actually, almost hard to hit it too thin, isn't it?
You probably get some sort of result, but the thinner you hit it, the less action you get on the red and the 4-foot. So I think somewhere around a half to a third is going to be really close.
My first thought was, yeah, thin half I think is ideal. But to your point, just as long as you make some noise on that yellow into that rock in the top of the button, you're doing something good. Little
now
too
they're
thin.
Huge trouble.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is possible to hit it too thin, as we just saw.
Fortunately, I'm watching this on PlayStation, so I have a replay. I'm watching it hit. They hit about a quarter rock, it looks like. I'd love to hear what they're talking about right now.
Yeah, I think they're looking at the possibility, but I'm not really sure that it's much of a threat. But the way those two yellows are frozen, that if they left some sort of run back combo, they could kill that top rock by hitting those two yellows, I think. But I think they would still be shot at the back from the look of our overhead view here. So they talked about trying to kind of hook this this guard in around that tight yellow rock to not leave any kind of combination. I think they're splitting hairs a little bit here. They're in a pretty good spot, but I agree. I would like to hear the conversation.
Brad's dialogue has to be one of the funniest of any skit in the game.
Oh, he's the best
I've ever seen.
I love when he's mic'd. He's so funny.
Extremely entertaining to listen to Brad's insight into certain situations.
And just know he doesn't try to give you any niceties. It's very frank and to the point, which I quite enjoy.
Exciting to see the numbers. We're up over 500 viewers on the stream right now between Facebook and YouTube.
My goodness.
Haji drawing the crowds.
Oh, yeah.
That's a pretty good shot, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite what they had in mind, but they managed it pretty well. I don't know that there's any kind of combination run back. I don't think you can see enough of that back yellow for Ainsley, and I don't think the red angles line up onto it to get anything going into the house here. So mission accomplished, albeit not maybe exactly how they drew it up.
It'd be crazy to angle flash this yellow in right now to try to move that one off the 4-foot. Even if you make contact with your yellows, you're going to nudge something around.
I like it. I don't think you can really make it much worse than it already is.
The worst thing you could do is play this run and it stuffs on that yellow. So if you can get rid of two of these, you still got a lot of work head out for you, but you might be able to score. Your best chance, I think, is to play the angle race, but you really have to make it if you're going to play that shot.
Well, but you're probably giving up a steal anyway, so I'm not sure it's risky, but I think it's worth it. I think that's what I'd be looking at.
Well, he's throwing a howitzer here. Big push on that out turn. Enough weight, but it stops it.
Which is the worst case scenario. So now if you didn't throw that rock, you'd be in a pretty similar situation. So now for Team Jacobs just has to basically block this out turn draw anywhere and is guaranteed to steal one pretty much, I think.
Another option he has is to hook the guard. I think all he needs to do is just hook that guard.
Yeah, you might not be able to make that out turn draw anyway right now, hey? like around that, to get around that top red and get to a piece enough of the button, it might not be there.
You probably can take that shot away on your last if you're Brad.
True.
Depending what happens.
Yeah, right now just trying to not line up any crazy double combinations for like make him waste another rock and peel something and then take it away, to your point.
Well, I think something like it's going to be sitting in the back of Brad's mind right now, that out-turn angle slash, because if you guard it and he plays the out-turn slash and stuffs it and is shot, then you're giving up 2. Or you're maybe not giving up 2, but he might have a shot for 2.
Yeah, you're giving up 1 and giving him a shot for 2 when it looks like you've got a guaranteed steal or force going here. So
they try and in turn hook the guard. They can play the double run.
Yeah, looks like it with that. Like this should be ice to get across the center line, I think, based on the draw I was watching earlier.
The spot earlier had a lot of finish. Just want to stay high a little bit.
Over curled a touch on them. Might be able to drag that back there.
I think so. I think no matter what you do, it's going to be 1 red after the shot at the back.
I agree. Yeah, they can't kill that back one. So best case scenario, you're second and third. But that's better than it is right now.
If that would have just stayed an inch higher for line, there was
anywhere, yeah, anywhere higher, it's perfect. It just over curled that tiny little bit on them at the very end.
Earlier in the end, that's where Rock had got to the center line a little quick too. There could be a touch of a jumpy pass there.
Yeah, we were on the earlier draw. We saw that where if he went out a little bit wider, they were struggling with. If they had a few that took off early, and so then they would take a little bit more ice and it would hang on them. So it does seem like there's a little bit of a ridge there or a dish or something where there's a spot where it just jumps, and then if you get outside it, so it's hard to put the broom in the right spot.
One of the many things that makes curling, and not boring.
Think those are close enough together that this will drag for them?
Hard to look through a screen and know.
I'm debating in my head as well. That's why I asked.
It's really difficult on TV.
Well, and it looks like they're questioning it. They're talking about which side to hit it on. So whether it drags or not is the key factor there.
Steamboat curling down south. Yeah, absolutely would love if we had Siskip's mic. There's a lot of moments we could all learn from of Mark and Brad's interaction. Their dialogue is usually pretty impressive. Oh no.
Oh dear.
Did that take away the out-turn draw?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but I'm not sure it was there in the first place. It certainly makes it more difficult. It actually probably didn't, because if you're hitting that guard, you're not. You got to get by the one on the top of the button, right? So I wouldn't think that's in the way. If that draw was there, I think it's still there, but it also gives, again, for Brad Jacobs, like the path that he has to block is now even smaller than it just was before that rock was thrown. Normally we say we don't like rocks behind the tee line, but this rock at the back forefoot, this red at the back forefoot's actually factoring in big time to the decisions that are being made here. If you didn't have that rock for Team Jacobs, then coming around this guard into the house would be more risky. You might leave him a double for 2 or 3. Not guarding something and leaving him a run back might leave him a shot for multiple points. But because of that back one that I don't think you can ever get to, the risk is a lot lower here for Brad Jacobs.
Am I correct that there is no sweeping behind the tee line?
The team with control of the house can sweep.
But only the sweeper that's sweeping the rock the whole way. So if you're the sweeper, then I don't, like, as your skip, I don't sweep, you sweep behind the tee line. So skips don't sweep anything. I love it.
DJ going hard for line here, going on a steep angle. Now he's just dragging this thing. Now there's no draw there.
Yeah, does the job. Takes away the draw.
Maybe a take your medicine situation.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm not sure what the easiest shot is to give up a steal of 1, but I think you have to make whatever shot that is.
Well, they're thinking of playing the angle. They'd have to play it off the yellow to make the triple. If the triple's even there.
Yeah, I think if you come off the yellow, it stuffs it, doesn't it? Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, have to same time them, and I still don't know if you. I don't think there's.
I don't think so either. I don't think that goes.
In turn draw.
Yeah, whatever shot you like the most to give up a steal of 1, I think is the call here.
I believe we literally need to add the word y'all to our list for the broadcast. We're about to get a lot of thumbs up and comments in the group chat, but y'all is being added to the list. Literally.
And pretend we're Americans for the day.
For those of you just tuning in, we're playing an interactive curling game where people are having choice beverages, and we're playing a little bingo. You can tune into with all the curling terminology we're dropping. Switching over to carves. Don't think this is going to get there for line for 1, but just curled enough to get the steal of 1.
I'm not sure it was there to score anyway. I think it's a pretty good shot.
I don't believe so, no. That was a great shot to give up 1.
I think that's as good. Yeah, as good as he could have made it was to give up the steal. So, well done.
So that'll push the score here to 3-0 for Brad Jacobs. We'll head into the commercial break here, and we'll return after these short messages.
When I sweep with the Gold Line Fiber Light, I feel like I'm sweeping on TV.
That's light.
More surface area, better results.
It's that easy.
It's that easy.
You need to sweep for weight.
You need to sweep with this.
Now, every time I curl, people ask me, what are you sweeping with?
What are you sweeping with?
What are you sweeping with?
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
And it's the choice of champions.
October is First Responders Month. Firehouse Subs is recognizing the helpers who support the community. Special thank you to Patrick Morris of Firehouse Subs for his support of the Stu Sells series. We really appreciate all the work he does and the help he gives us here to bring these events to the stream and for all the curlers. Hey, Patrick, I need you to write me something, please. Back here, fourth end. Team Jacobs with the 3-0 lead. Just a little update on these teams coming into the game. Both Ainsley and Jacobs are 3-0 coming into this game. So this is a battle for first place here in the pool. One more draw to come for all of these men's teams. That will be later this evening at 9:45 p.m. We have another women's draw going on the ice in a couple hours' time or so, 6:30 Eastern time. We'll have a game. Jennifer Jones taking on Emily Deschennes, highly ranked junior team out of the Ottawa area. Manotick, I believe they're from. And then tonight it'll be Glenn Howard taking on Jason Cam. Also looking like it's going to be a battle for first place in that pool, too. So here we go. Team Ainsley looking to figure out how to get a deuce here.
Yeah, important thing here for Team Ainsley is not trying to get this all back at once and kind of selling the farm, as they say. You want to hang a crooked number, and you need to, but you don't want to give up another steal. You want to stop the bleeding here at some point, even if it's just a single point. Kind of, it's amazing to say, but sometimes you want to get rid of the hammer, and it seems like one of those times.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to get rid of that hammer and just go full bore, have some fun.
Yeah, throw a couple centers and just change something. When things aren't working, it's just one of those days for them, kind of, where they've been kind of close to some good stuff and it's not really worked out. So change something up, get rid of the hammer, throw a couple center guards and junk it up in the middle and hope for the best.
Wow, we got lots of people watching from all over the place. We got Christina Lugo in Oakland, Tyler Randy over in BC, Marilyn Ann McKay, Murray River, Prince Edward Island, Regina Carvalho from Brazil. She says, although she lives in a very hot country, she does love the sport.
That's awesome.
Thanks for tuning in. Must be a slow day in PEI. We have Hugh McKenna also watching from Summerside. Had a few good fish from that town. Nothing like PEI mussels. Ooh. Ainsley's got a perfect rock, absolutely locked. Looks like almost has its papers. That's how close it is.
Almost has its papers.
Chelsea, do you want to explain what papers are?
So my dad, who coached Colin and Reed for a couple of years, when he played back in the day with Vic Peters and Chris Neufeld was their second, making a perfect freeze, like an absolutely perfect freeze where the two rocks touch but don't bounce, but there's no space in between them, is probably the hardest thing to do in the sport of curling. And so they would call it welding papers. So the whole way, if the rock was close going down the sheet, they would be on and off and sweeping it and whatever. And then they would want to know, once it stopped, as the thrower, you can't tell if it bounced or anything. So you'd want to know. So you'd wait for the sweepers to tell you if you got your papers. And Chris Neufeld, Denny, they called him, if you didn't, if it bounced or if it was a little short, instead of waiting to go down and tell the person who threw the rock, he would wave it off. like a penalty or a goal that gets waved off in hockey. He would just he'd turn around and just wave it off. So it's an ongoing thing about papers, because it's a very rare thing to see that absolutely perfect freeze with no bounce and no separation.
Our team adopted it with Dan Carey being our coach for years. We totally took it on and we still do it. So if you randomly see us celebrate a freeze where we get like Jacobs fired up, that's because you got your papers, because it happens like maybe once or twice a season.
Dad, if you're listening, you'll be proud. Of course, Chris Neufeld with a couple of kids who are also pretty good curlers. Denny and BJ with quite a few accomplishments, playing with Mike McEwen for a really long time. There's some good bloodlines from that team. It was Chris Neufeld and my dad and Vic Peters, who of course we see Liz Fife, his son Daly still plays as well in Manitoba, is a pretty good player. So lots of us followed their lead and went down that path with curling. So we really appreciate it.
A lot of good offspring. A lot of offspring. Our sport has a lot of that. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, there's a lot of bloodlines for sure. You see what we saw earlier today, even Justin Murphy playing with her mom Janet coming into the game in that scenario. So there's certainly lots of parents and their kids, and you see that progression and things. It's really kind of fun to watch. And for me, growing up, it was really fun to be a part of, to get to see my dad win a Brier and then to kind of go and follow in his footsteps is a pretty neat thing.
So we're going to get a lot of broken record here unless they can make contact on the run back. Jacob's just going to keep slapping it up there. And Ainsley's going to have to play the run back and make contact with the two fronts and hopefully slice all three off. Get back in the driver's seat to maybe have another tough one for two this end.
Yeah, it's one of those situations we were talking earlier, Colin, about how perfect that freeze is. It's great for Team Ainsley, but if they can't get to it, if they can't access it, then it's actually not a big threat to Team Jacob. So they'll just keep lobbing this guard up as long as they can, as long as there's no noise made on those two frozen rocks, and just go with it for as long as possible. And for Team Ainsley, to your point, needs to do something to open up that situation so that they can have access to those two rocks.
The guard over curled a bit. They planned beat it pretty early. Use their communication again. This is one of those reasons. The little things that teams can do. They switched it, got the carve, went across the center line, nicked over so that they still had a usable stone. It's important to do those types of things. Every team needs to do it to compete. I don't really care who you're playing against in this event. You're going to need to do that to not give teams opportunities to play aggressive shots against you.
Oh, and that's, like you say, it's an early recognition of the fact that it was going to over curl. So if they don't sweep it to carve it, it gets by, and it's completely useless. It just stacks with the guard that's already there, and it leaves those back rocks wide open. So great communication to say it's over curling. Let's make it curl more so that we actually crash this guard and roll it off. It's a pretty sophisticated thing to do, but it's things that teams need to be thinking about for sure, because if you manage that rock differently, that's a case where the shot was going to be missed if it wasn't managed extremely well. So recognition early that plan A is gone, and let's figure something out and do what we can with the rock that we have, which is the rock that's over curling.
Aggressive call here. On the in turn, come around, tap. Get some space between them. I like the call if you make the shot.
I really like it. The run back is so hard to make. This gives you didn't quite roll far enough.
Just needed to sweep that anything and get it open so that they'd have some angles. It stayed hooked.
Yeah, you needed to. So anything higher, they roll it off more. So the idea here for Team Ainsley was to give themselves two rocks that they could run back into those frozen ones. So if they hit that any thinner, and they roll those two yellow rocks anywhere even, or even roll further than that is okay. And then Team Jacobs can't take away both little short run backs. But because they stayed, when we say hooked, we mean that you can't run that wide one back into the shot rock because it'll hit the other yellow that it's up there beside. So it worked out. It was almost perfect, but that's, I remember the commercial years ago. Did you remember that commercial where they say they're throwing a rock and the line was, they say football is a game of inches, and then they're playing a pocket double and they go just through the middle, and if they hit it any higher or any lower, they make this double, and the tagline is, I wish we had inches. That's what that situation is right there. That rock was so close to being perfect, and it's thrown extremely well and swept extremely well, and it ended up terrible.
You're telling me. It's the story of my life, man. I think a few of us wish we had more inches.
And back
Ainsley
to the curling.
Ainsley absolutely made an A shot. They could have made an A1.
Yeah, exactly.
These are fun situations, though, when it's all going to switch so quick. If you make a great shot, you're in amazing shape. If you don't make it, then you're not looking good.
I was going to say that early in the end when we were talking about those two frozen rocks is one of those situations where, because of everything being the way it was set up with the guards being hooked and the rocks in front, it looked pretty good for Team Jacobs. But one really good shot by Team Ainsley brings a 2 or 3 into play in just one shot. Could have swung this whole end, and still could if they make something good here. But that's the nature of an end like this one. I mean, of the game in general, but certainly of an end that's gone this way with those two frozen rocks and everybody trying to maneuver, Team Jacobs trying to maneuver so that Team Ainsley doesn't have access to it, and vice versa.
Howitzer here. Clearing everything. Great shot. Good shot.
Unfortunately for Team Ainsley, those 3 rocks in the top of the 12-foot are lined up quite poorly for them. There's no way to get either of those yellows moving back towards the frozen 2 at this point in time. So as good as he could have made the double peel, but still some work to do to have access to shot stone here.
And there's that back 8 shot that is just nibbling the 8-foot that pulls those other 2 yellow rocks right out of play. It's going to be hard to make that thing move at any point. I see you, Curling Geek.
Of course, Curling Geek Doug Surik has been helpful around the club. He's the IT guy at the club and does pick up several other roles as well. So he certainly helped get this streaming equipment organized, and our production crew getting set up here at the KW Granite Club. Evan Seacombe is leading the charge there. Stephen on the camera. They are separated on a side office there, separate from everybody. They got their own entrance and everything, so set up in a good, safe spot. And wouldn't you believe it, yesterday was the first time they ever shot curling.
Are we going to get our in off at any point here?
Might be the type of shot you have to go for.
I don't, yeah, I'm not sure. It might be the only way you can score too, potentially, so.
Don't mind this on the first one.
Again, yeah, I think I agree.
Yep.
Oof.
Oh!
So
Overcurled
close.
a fraction. Just they're dancing all around at this end.
Bad luck. That could have had more rotation, which would have took the rock more left. Like, that is just bad luck that he made contact and it didn't get out of the 4-foot.
Yeah, I thought when he hit it that it was made. Just didn't.
On replay, it took the wrong turn. It took the in turn and went away from it. It did come off the center line. He hit it absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I don't think he could have hit that better. I was confused when it didn't kill it. That makes sense.
It's hard to see that he made contact with the yellow stone and didn't move the red one out.
Yeah, I thought if he made contact, it was money. It was going to get it at least out of the 4-foot so that you're shot. That's bad luck for sure.
What was this? Game of inches?
Yeah, exactly.
Could have used one there. We really got to talk about where this one's going to go.
Yeah, you got to bury this stone here.
Sometimes the best sweep is no sweep. Might have got enough.
Yeah, they were sort of teasing between keeping it high enough to keep the steal alive, but getting it to bury enough so that they don't give up the double.
I think they're okay with leaving the double because it's only for one. I think ideally they would have liked to leave that just biting the top of the button so that they couldn't have played an out-turn tap.
That run is 4-5 right now, it looks like. And they are seriously thinking about it. 1, 2, 3, or is that just 4? Yeah, 4, sorry.
Yeah, you probably have to play it. If we're down 3 against them and we don't have an easy score of 2, you might take that chance.
Well, and your shot for 1 is, like, that's pretty buried from the other view that we just saw, that red rock on the top of the button. So, and even if you get to the nose, I'm not 100% sure your shot. I think you are. But that's a hard shot. So if you're going to play a hard shot for 1, play a hard shot for $1 million.
And 4 is $1 million against Brad Jacobs. Here we go.
Real close if it's just biting center line. Just across it.
Rob Ainsley, final stone here, the 4th end. He's got an opportunity here to take a big score. Hard on the sweep. Real close. Just
overswept it.
Overswept that. Yeah, that was really close.
Yeah, just a little bit. And that'd be a steal of 1, it looks like.
Steal of 1.
So Jacobs up 4-0 now after 4 ends here at the Stu Sells Oakville Tankard. We are streaming live from the KW Granite Club in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Hey guys, welcome to the Stu Sells brand new listing, and we are in Liberty Village. So if you're a young executive and you want to have a great time and be close to your office, then you got to come here to Liberty Village. There's so much going on here. It's got great restaurants, great shops, bars, so much to do. You're close to the lake if you want to go down on the bike path and bike wherever you want. There's parks nearby, and it's a fun little area here in Liberty Village. It's really chic and it's hip, and this unit is spectacular. It is a 1-bedroom, perfect for a single person. It's got a large balcony. It goes the full length of the unit, and you can see the lake, and you can watch out at the whole Liberty Village because you're on the 16th floor. We have pool, gym, party rooms. This is like Club Med down here. So look, go to stusells.ca, look at all the pictures and videos, and then give me Stu a call, and I'll come and take you for a tour.
Back here for the 5th end. Team Jacobs with another steal in the 4th end. Extends their lead to 4-0 over Rob Ainsley. The scoreboard, though, not really indicative of this battle out here. Ainsley with a run back there, potential possibly to score 4. The door open there with a big chance. A real tough shot, but he had a chance.
That was very close. That was 2 absolute peaches thrown in a row. Outturn run back. Going to put that in the memory bank.
Joined by Chelsea Carey, 2019 Scotties champion, as well as Colin Hodgson, Hot Shots champion. What was that, Calgary? 2015? 15?
Good thing you know, because I didn't.
I know you didn't.
Couple of Manitoba Buffalo titles, I believe, as well. You got 2 under the belt, don't you?
3?
3?
3 and a wild card.
Appearance.
Fortunate win.
Of course, the kingmaker behind Dynasty Curling. How are things going these days, Haji, at the shop?
Well, it's tough for everyone right now. With no one knowing curling's happening, a lot of companies are down a lot. Percentage-wise, so we pivoted as quickly as we could this year. We ended up moving over to masks and working on some new contracts with some national sport organizations. So we've got some fun, exciting announcements coming about some new Dynasty products. But we're just grateful for all the support from people, because we really do just need customers constantly to keep the ship afloat, because we sponsor a lot of curling. We sponsor well over $100,000 a year, almost double that per year, into the curling world. So we appreciate the business back, and we do put it right back into the community. I'm not rich off Dynasty. we have to all make sacrifice to help each other out and build something big. So, it's been pretty good. We've had lots of support through this, and a lot of our top teams have been very willing to help us through it, which, really grateful for. So support your curling companies, especially the ones that give back to the sport. I know all the major ones, they're not making bank. So, there's Hardline, Asham, Balance Plus, Goldline, Runback, Fox Glide. There's all of our competitors. It drives the market and builds better products for people at better prices. So supporting these companies right now is when they really need it. If you can help, and that's going to come back in the future.
And confirm, the best gear I've ever worn. Kevin Hurry, who does designs for Dynasty, is just so talented. It's unbelievable, and the fabrics are great. The fit is awesome. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be involved with Dynasty basically from the start, because of my friendship with Colin, and it's been quite a ride, and it's been really cool to watch the progression from basically concept to all of a sudden Briar and Scotty's gear and World's gear, and have been lucky enough to rock a lot of different Dynasty designs, and it's they're the best. So, I mean, support if you can, as far as if you can afford it. But if you need stuff anyway, if you're going to get curling jackets anyway, if you're going to get gear for a different sport, keep Dynasty in mind. They do a really good job, and the product is top notch.
All right. Well, now we've got the top 8 red rock that's frozen to the one biting forefoot is very good stone for Jacobs, again, in this situation. They're getting in early, and they're lining them up well. It's going to just be a lot of tankering and maneuvering this end.
Yeah, for Team Ainsley needing to keep rocks in play as much as possible, it's one of those where even the opponent's rocks are your friends. You want to tap stuff back and move it around, but not necessarily remove it, even if it's red. Everything is helping you. You need as many rocks in play as possible to try to generate multiple points here.
That's Sherry Hart and Cape Breton. We love Cape Bretoners in curling. We know exactly where you're from as soon as you say hello. Or whatever you say. It's kind of hard to understand the first few words. Got to flip that part in the back of our brain that can understand Cape Bretoners.
Of course, for Chelsea, Cape Breton's got to have a special place in her heart as well.
It sure does. And that was, I've been to the Maritimes quite a bit, but that was my first real Cape Breton experience in Sydney in 2019. And it was absolutely incredible, both like the view from our hotel over the water, even though it was winter and it was all frozen. And just the hospitality of the people. We had such an amazing time in Sydney. Every volunteer, every person that was involved, it was just so much fun. And the crowds were amazing and so respectful and so excited for everybody. And it was just, I can't say enough about Cape Breton. It was awesome.
Weather getting in sucked, but outside of that, it was dope.
Oh yeah, I took a $650 cab ride from Halifax to Sydney because my flight got canceled. And then my bag didn't show up. So I went to practice the first day. I had my curling stuff, but I didn't have any of my like no makeup, no hair stuff, no nothing. Plus we had the banquet that night. So I almost had to go to the banquet in my Alberta shirt and my curling pants. But my bag got there about 5 minutes before we had to leave for the banquet, but they didn't know where it was. The whole thing was a disaster. We had huge weather issues. I got delayed in Toronto, missed the flight that I was supposed to be on. There wasn't another flight to Sydney until the next night, which would have meant missing practice and the banquet and everything. So got in a cab for 4 hours to get from Halifax to Sydney. It was an adventure, and I wasn't the only one. There's a whole bunch of teams with those kinds of issues because we had some questionable February weather traveling across Canada, but the event itself was amazing.
I remember walking into that building on the first night of the Scotties, the wild card game, and it was amazing, absolutely electric. Every seat was full, standing room. It was a pretty amazing opening night. There's something special about the wild card game. Kingston was the same way for us. I imagine all of them have been, but it's a very cool experience, and it was great in Cape Breton.
It's a better experience if you win it.
Sydney, I should say. Yeah, good point. I'm glad we won that one. we got lucky. I don't really remember too many curling shots, but that run back that Glenn missed by a millimeter.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Game ending. But you take what you can.
No pictures on the scoreboard.
Brad's is continuing to pummel the front of the house of cards. Ainsley just doing their best to try to rearrange, make contact on some of those stones in the house.
We touched earlier on Mark Kennedy being a southpaw left-handed curler, and it's really interesting to hear the progression of what happened with him when he went to play with Kevin Martin. The difference, to me, the difference between left-handed and right-handed curlers is more to do with the hack that you come from than it is to do with any of the mechanics or the releases. That's easier to align. So in general, everybody's out turn will run a little bit straighter than their in turn. So to fix that part as a left-handed person, so you learn to set your out turn more and set your in turn more and soft your out turn a little bit more. But they went way beyond that with Mark and Kevin. And of course, we know Kevin Martin, one of the great minds in the game and so ahead of his time, in moving their foot placement in the hack so that they're both closer to the center line. So all the right-handed players did it as well. And Mark, if you watch Mark's foot, it's always on the inside edge of that hack. And you'll see most players move their foot around in the hack, depending on where the broom is, but he doesn't. His foot's on the inside all the time, and that's so that the line was closer for Kevin watching it so that he could read better off Mark's shots. It's pretty incredible, and they really did change the game for left-handers and for this sort of standard that's set in trying to have a team of right-handers be able to play with and read off a left-handed player.
Checking in with our curlers from all over the world. we have Mike McInnes from Nairn, Scotland. Thanks for tuning in. If you are from, well, really anywhere, why don't you drop a comment in the YouTube channel, or better yet, on the Facebook Live link. Let us know where you're at. And if you have any specific questions, you got us both here at once. I figure Chelsea and I are a little more forthcoming with information than others, but I think the reason is, or one of the reasons I want to is, I really, one of my favorite follows in any sports is Trevor Bauer.
He's a beauty.
What an incredible amount of insight into the game, inside locker rooms, and he's just a polarizing character and an incredible pitcher. He's sharing all his secrets, and he's going out there getting it done and doing it himself. He doesn't seem to be scared to give up that information, and I think it's for the benefit of the game. Sometimes
there was a brilliant Sports Illustrated article on Bauer written about 2 or 3 years ago, talking about his mentality. He is the Sheldon of Major League Baseball. That is how they describe him.
So for any viewers that don't know, Jerry and Colin are two of the biggest baseball nerds you could ever find anywhere in the world. Colin actually played high-level baseball growing up and was a pitcher. And so watching baseball with him, I didn't play baseball growing up, and my family didn't watch it or follow it. But he was out at our family cabin in Northern Ontario in was it 15, the Jays playoff run, or 16? 15? The first one? Anyway, Colin was at the cabin and forced my family, including my dad, who's a huge sports guy, but not a baseball guy at all. We watched so much baseball. And for me, it was interesting. So baseball is a lot like curling to me, in the sense that when people tell me that it's boring to watch, I get that if you don't understand the strategy. And that's why I always admitted that the reason I wasn't interested in baseball is because I didn't understand enough about it. I didn't play it growing up. I played every sport except baseball, it seems. So watching it with Colin made me enjoy it more, because I got some insight into the side that I knew I didn't understand. But so it's been really interesting for, like, I'm nowhere near their level, but I'm a converted baseball fan thanks to Haji and the Jays being good one year.
Speaking of good, that was a great double peel, clip that red off. Good shot by Ainsley. They're only going to have to make 2 more run backs to get out of it.
And the bad news here for Ainsley, too, is that I don't think there's any draw available now because of the way those run backs have rolled to the wings. It's blocking both draw paths. So that's one of the things we talk about in the 5-rock rule, or in any rule, really, with throwing 2 corner guards as the team with the hammer. You might take away your draw to the button. It depends on how much the ice curls and things, but you have to make decisions about your corner guards to make sure they're not in the way of your draw. You need to have a draw path.
So it looks like Team Jacobs has a new video blog feature on their Facebook page. We are going to clip it and show it in the next break. Just a heads up, Team Jacobs is a great follow on social media. They've been doing a lot of work trying to show behind the scenes, and obviously being back like it was back in the good old days on their OCT tour when they first cut their teeth against many of the top teams on tour. Back in the car again.
Got
so
Mr.
last rock to come
Brandon.
here.
Oh, sorry.
No, all good, Haji. What were you going to say?
Oh, just more shout-outs. We got Brandon, Halifax, New Brunswick, Calgary in the house. Vancouver, Thunder Bay, people asking where are the Scotties going to be? When are the Scotties going to be? Where are the Scotties going to be?
Yeah, if only we knew.
That was an answer we cannot give you. We're trying to figure out what the best return to the game is for us right now.
Yeah, the players are all wondering the same thing, so we have no additional insight for you, unfortunately.
So I'm not exactly sure what Ainsley is throwing here. There is a mess of guards out front and a lot of trouble here. Try a long run back, maybe make some contact. Oof.
That was a bit of a plan B too. They knew they were hitting it too high. If they hit it a tiny little bit higher than they did, they might have got the redirect into that mess of rocks in the middle of the top of the house here. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out for them.
Looks like that'll be it. Handshakes here after 5 ends. 6-0 is your final. Chelsea, Colin, thank you very much for joining us on the stream here. It was really great to have you on board.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Sure, we'll be back for more.
Knowing us.
Anyways, until then, we are going to tune out, but I am going to pull up the Team Jacobs feature from earlier today. They're 3-0 here and rolling now 4-0 with that win. And so here you go.
Top of the morning to you. Pete, how are we doing today? Tired. 2-game day. First day back. Tired. Did you not train all summer or what? Day 2.
Probably the most I ever had.
Day 2, Ryan's eating peanut butter and toast. Getting ready for day 2. 3 games today. 2 wins yesterday. We're back. We're having fun, we're sore, we're tired, we're happy, and we're icing our hand for some reason. Day 2, the protocols to get into the club.
Temperature.
36. 36.2. That's it. You're
Good. Thank you. Ready to go? Okay, so this is how we celebrate our 3rd win. Brad Jacobs eats a Pop-Tart. Ryan Harden continues to ice his hands and drink coffee. Sips, as we like to call them. And then we're gonna watch. No, extra large. He wanted a small, we got him an extra large. You ask and you shall receive what you don't ask for. And then we're gonna watch the Karate Kid remake. 3 or 4 episodes in. If you haven't watched the original Karate Kid or multiple Karate Kids, watch all those and then watch this. You're missing out. It's great. See you soon.
For more fun videos from Team Jacobs, be sure to check out their Facebook profile. Just search for Team Jacobs. You'll find them on the Facebooks.
No matter what speed you're comfortable with, the G50 line has a shoe for you.
That's comfortable and stylish.
When it was time to get his first pair of curling shoes, we went with Goal Line. Now it's time for the G50.
Looks great, but it grips better than anything.
Man, this is a light curling shoe.
These remind me of why I like to play the game.
This is actually the most comfortable curling shoe I have ever owned. It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
And it's the choice of champions.
Hey guys, welcome to the Stu Sells brand new listing, and we are in Liberty Village. So if you're a young executive and you want to have a great time and be close to your office, hey guys, I'm so excited about our new listing for the Stu Sells team. We are in our home turf, the Junction, and we are bringing this phenomenal semi to market. It's a corner lot with a huge side yard. It's got 3 bedrooms up, 1 bedroom in the basement, 2 full bathrooms, spectacular brand new hardwood floors, gorgeous kitchen, brand new 2-piece on the main floor, Full finished rec room, you can have a family room, home office, above grade windows, nice and bright, separate entrance out the back. This home is awesome. We also have parking in the back. But look, we're in the junction. The Sweet Potato is just right there. All the stores, funky shops in the junction. And now with Cafe TO, they've all gone out in the streets with really cool patios. So you can go to Noto's patio and have Italian. You can go to the Alpines patio and get some great food. And everything's walking distance. And also, don't forget to give us a call if you want your Stu Says Slow Down sign. Stay safe and scrub your hands and support our frontline workers. So go to stusells.ca. You can see all the photos, the video, and then give me, Stu, a call and come for a personal tour.